Out here with the 574 again, and this time we've got a new problem. Sorry for the wind noise, it's a little windy out here today, but the power steering line was leaking. So as you can see, there's power steering or hydraulic fluid on the ground there. And when I looked up in here, which you may or may not be able to see, but here's the power steering ram, and this line right here was okay, but the line on the other side that they actually crisscross was no good. It was leaking, so it was just pouring out like a sieve. So I thought, well, how the heck do you get to it? Because it's kind of buried. So the trick is you take the grill off and you remove your upper power steering line here, and there's a fitting here. So you can remove that upper with a 11/16 wrench, and then you need yourself a socket, which is a 13/16, and you put this socket right down on top of this nipple and start spinning it. Well, the problem is you're going to spin your hose. So the trick to fix that is jack up the opposite side of the tractor with a farm jack. I highly suggest you block it off, and yeah, that's probably not the safest block job, but it's better than nothing. So block it up, and once you've blocked it up, then you can take a 3/4 inch wrench and coming in from on top of the axle, hold it where it connects to this nipple. So now what I've done is I've just loosened this all the way up until this thing's ready to drop out, and I'll just keep spinning this nut off of here until this whole fitting pushes down through. And once it pushes down through, then I can get to the hose. So let's get that all the way off, and then we'll pull the other side of the hose off. Now that I got it disconnected, here's what it looks like. So this end was the one that stuck up through, and that's what was connected to the hard line. So that's what was up through and into the radiator area. And then this hose came, and this end was on a fitting, which is really hard to see here, but it was up in here, up on this fitting that's right here. So you can loosen this fitting. Let's see if I can get a good zoom in on it. You can loosen this fitting from the housing, but that's not what you want to do. The hose comes through this hole that you see back here and connects to this, the end here. You can see me touching with my finger. And all I did was just put a wrench, and I've got that wrench right here now. It was an 11/16. So I put the 11/16 wrench up in front of this, like so, and onto that fitting, and spun it off until it got loose, and then I was able to pull the hose out. So that's the hydraulic hose. It looks to be about maybe 14 inches long or something to that effect. So maybe 15 or 16 inches long in total. But we're gonna take this fitting off right here, and then we'll run to the auto parts store and see if we can't get a hydraulic hose. If not, we'll be ordering one online. This is what the fitting that comes out of the one side. Again, this is the fitting that's in front of the radiator, but this is what that nippled fitting looks like. So the longer threaded end was what was sticking up, and then this was bolted down in. Couldn't find at any of my local auto parts stores a power steering hose or anything like that they could just give me that would work. So I did look online. I saw a couple websites that specifically sell international parts, and they wanted like $103 or $105 for this hose, and that just seemed outrageous. So I live in Ohio, in Northeast Ohio, and I just looked up hoses, and I think hydraulic hoses maybe online. Found a company local to me and just had this built. So I took the old one in, and they built this guy for me based off the old one, and I think it was $42 after tax or something like that. So quite a bit cheaper than $103 plus shipping plus everything else. So yeah, we're gonna slide this one up in here and hook it up, and then we'll fill up the hydraulic fluid and move forward with life. This is a 3/4 inch wrench to get on this fitting, and that's how I tighten it to this side of the ram. And then the hose goes through a little hole here in the frame, and then it'll go up, and I'm gonna put the fitting on it ahead of time here, and then it'll go up through that hole up into the radiator area. So that's how we're gonna run the hose, just like how this side is ran, and we'll put it up through and tighten her up. Again, installation is just the reverse. So I used a 13/16 socket to tighten the screw, or I'm sorry, the nut down that holds that nipple on there. And now that it's held down, I went ahead and put the line on, and that was an 11/16. So now they have the 11/16 on there. On this is a 3/4, but I used an 11/16 on here to tighten this back on. So now our pressure lines are back on. I did have to loosen, let's see if we can get down under here, this fitting just temporarily so that it would spin. So, but it's all ran and it's up through, so that's tight. So now I got to use my 3/4 to just tighten this guy back down a little bit. And once we give this a turn or two to make sure it's tight, we should be good to go to check the fluid. So yeah, we're gonna finish tightening this back up, check our fluid level, because I'm sure we lost quite a bit in our leak, and test it out. Here's our check. Let's pull this dipstick out. Looks bone dry. Let's check her and see, but I'm sure this thing's bone dry because I think it leaked quite a bit of hydraulic fluid. Nada. Yep, not even registering. So yeah, we got to fill up the hydraulic fluid, but at least now we won't be leaking. Got this nice slow moving sign on the back, and then a little metal hook here to support the top link. And it's blocking my access to the bunghole to fill it up. So a 5/8, we'll pull this off and then we'll fill it up. Bigger than 7/8. The biggest wrench that I had out here on me right now. So just ran back in the barn, grabbed the trusty old crescent wrench, and broke it loose. Grab some tractor hydraulic fluid. So we're just gonna pour this hydraulic fluid in, and hopefully, which I could probably not do one-handed. Yeah, well, maybe I'm gonna do it on camera. Apparently not. But we're gonna pour this hydraulic fluid in, and then we'll check the level. I poured maybe a quart in. Yeah, just about a quart in. So let's check and see where we're at on our dipstick now. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's not even registering at all, because I think I lost quite a bit. Yep, still not even registering at all. So let's go add some more. And with most projects, you never have the right stuff. So 1 gallon was not enough. So of course I had to run out and buy more. And this time I just bought a 5-gallon bucket, and I'm glad I did, because I probably used, boy, it's hard to tell inside the bucket there, but a substantial amount, 2 or 3 gallons plus that gallon. So it's probably 3 gallons, maybe 4 gallons to fill it up. So filled it up, ran the tractor, turned the steering wheel left and right to make sure that all the air was purged from the system. Luckily this will self-purge. So just left, right a few times, turned on the rear hydraulics and made sure that all the air was out of it as best as I could. And now, when we check, we are good to go. So hard to tell on there, but the dipstick is up to the fill mark, so right to the top of the fill. So actually maybe a little bit extra in there, but I'm sure some will bleed out once we put one of the log splitter on the back or something like that. So there we go. That's how you change your power steering hose on an International 574.